8:32 now to the big news of the day. New York Governor Kathy Hochul focusing on a path forward following 4 resignations from administrations of New York City Mayor Eric Adams.
So what's the likelihood that she will actually remove him from office, a thing that has never been done before, right? And how much would a special election cost taxpayers? There are a lot to unpack. JC Polanco is here to give us some insight into the crisis over at City Hall. So JC, great to see you. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me. So good to see you.
It seems like an eternity from when I spoke to you on Friday, right? So a lot has changed, but one thing is constant. You mentioned something on Friday to me saying that it all would come down to Hakeem Jeffries, who is somebody the governor is meeting with today behind closed doors, right? As is Carl Heastie, Al Sharpton, Donovan Richards, Adrienne Adams, Brad Lander. All very interesting picks here. What's your take?
Right. Look, it's a balancing act for the governor. The governor is dealing in a Democratic Party that is incredibly diverse. In order to make this decision, she needs buy-in from Black elected leaders nationally, statewide, and citywide. And since Friday, we have to be honest, she has a lot of cover. Not only do you have 4 deputy mayors that have resigned, the city council speaker has demanded a resignation. Hakeem Jeffries is not as supportive anymore of this mayor, clearly. We saw the former state controller McCall come out and support former Governor Cuomo. You're seeing more and more everything be crystal clear to us that it's becoming a question of when and not if the governor is going to move ahead with removal proceedings against the mayor.
So what is the timeline then? Because it's not, and correct me if I'm wrong, it's not like she just says, Mayor Adams, you're out, and he's out. There's a process that goes into this.
Yes, she has. First of all, she's the only one who can do this, and there's a 30-day process where the mayor can go ahead and appeal the decision to demonstrate that there isn't sufficient evidence to remove the duly elected mayor from office. But the decision at the end of the day is hers. Now, we've never seen this in the history of New York City. We don't know if there's going to be a court of appeals that's going to decide this. We don't know if it's going to go all the way to the Supreme Court. Let's assume it's not, and let's assume it's crystal clear in the city charter, and it's the constitutional privilege of the governor to give him 30 days to respond and still remove him from office. There is another obscure way that I'm sure you know of, and that involves the inability committee. Yeah. It's never been this issue, guys. It's never been used for this issue. Speaker Adams doesn't seem like she's going down that line, but it's an obscure way. Let me do my best Cliff Notes version of this. Okay. There are 5 members on this committee, guys. 5. Yeah. You have the city controller, who's a candidate for mayor now against the mayor. You have the speaker, who's already called for his resignation. You have a deputy mayor of Mayor Adams is choosing. You have the corporation council, who the mayor actually appoints, and the longest serving borough president in the city. They determine whether or not the city council should impanel a committee to determine whether or not he should be removed and unable to continue as mayor. Then you need 2/3 of the city council. I think that's about 34 of the city council members to vote to remove him. That's much more cumbersome and absurd. Now, the governor has as much time as she needs, but there's a date that I want your viewers to know about that's important, and that's March 26th. Yeah. March 26th is an important day, guys.
Yeah, because of the special election, right? And whether or not it would actually go to a special election, right? But let me ask you this, because we had public advocate Jumaane Williams on the show on Friday. I know you spoke to him in the hallway as well, and he said he's ready. He's spoken to members of the governor's team, right? The mayor comes out yesterday, says, I'm not stepping down because that guy doesn't wake up before 12 noon. And is that who you want to be mayor? So he's already kind of disparaging Jumaane Williams, who is ready and willing to take over if it comes to that, right? Why wouldn't he be invited today?
Well, clearly he wouldn't be invited, and he's not part of the committee because he's second in line, right? And it would be seen as a conflict of interest in the charter to have the person that's going to assume the role of acting mayor to be making any decisions, or as you saw in your interview with him on PIX11 Politics, it was very measured. Yes. So you don't want the acting mayor to have a potential acting mayor to have a say. But he did tell me that, look, the city charter gives him the role. He's ready. He's prepared. He's battle tested, and he's willing to serve as acting mayor. Now, if in fact the governor calls for the resignation even after the appeal, after March 26th, Jumaane Williams, our public advocate, will be acting mayor and continue to run for public advocate. And then there will be a regular election for mayor in November.
Well, so he says. I mean, that could change. He said nothing is certain and tomorrow's a different day. If he were to become mayor, he may run for mayor. I mean, everything changes by the hour.
Sure, that's correct. He could in fact do that, but he's in the midst of of a primary for public advocate.
Yeah.
There are many announced candidates already for governor in that primary, for mayor in that primary race, but clearly he can throw his hat in the ring.
I mean, let's say, for example, I hate to put the cart before the horse, but if there is a special election, how much is that going to cost the city?
Well, the last time we had a special election, it was for public advocates, so it wasn't as sexy as a mayoral race.
Yeah.
And that was $20 million. You could only imagine how much money it would cost New York City for a mayoral race for in a special election, and also consider matching funds that taxpayers are also going to be paying. I'm sure we're going to look at upward the lines of over $30 million for a special election when the governor can simply wait until after March 26th and allow for the course to play out and avoid us having to spend that kind of money. But the calculation is going to be one for the governor alone. And that meeting today is all about the numbers. Is there the political will for her? Does she have enough cover? Will this impact her next year in a Democratic primary, removing a duly elected mayor? These are all some of the considerations. And lastly, balancing the law with what's right and what's political.
Yeah, and we're out of time here. And March 26th, by the way, feels like an eternity away to even wait for that when this is so rapidly changing, right? And I feel like yesterday was a big blow for the mayor. What are the chances? Again, this is all unprecedented, right? What are the chances that the mayor sees what's happening and sees that there's these meetings and says, okay, I'll step down?
Well, I can't see that happening because then he would be of no service for the White House. The White House needs him because they have a role with this immigration issue that we've been dealing with, the migrant crisis, and they are on a mission to deport undocumented immigrants. Look, if the mayor were to do that, then he does have charges that have been dismissed, that are proposed to be dismissed without prejudice, which could come back.
Yes.
And he would be of no service to the White House. So then what was the purpose of all of this? The best thing for the mayor would have been either a pardon or allow for him to make his case in court to show the city that he's in fact innocent and did nothing wrong. He would have been able to see another day.
Yeah, JC, we could talk to you about this forever. We appreciate your time this morning and your expertise always.
Thank you. Have a great day.
You too.
8:39, everybody. We are going to stay on top of the story involving Mayor Adams. You can find our complete coverage on our website, PIX11.com, streaming always on PIX11 Plus. In the meantime, we'll be right back.